Cloud. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jay.
All right, Jim, so now there's just two unbeaten teams in the NFL, the defending champion Chiefs and our Minnesota Vikings, with Seattle getting beat by Detroit last night. Your thoughts on the two Monday night games, Titans-Dolphins, and then Seahawks-Lions?
Well, yeah, as you said, Vikings are one of two undefeated teams with the Chiefs. Vikings are actually healthier, much healthier than the Chiefs. Might be getting Hockenson back. I don't know. I look at the schedule. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back the first week of November rather than sometime sooner than that, but we'll see how it plays out. Also should get Reisner back about on the same timetable, and he will give them offensive line depth. One of two undefeated teams left, tied for the highest scoring differential in the league with the Saints, who I've fallen off since they blew people out the first 2 weeks. They're in great shape. You know, it's going to be a long season. They will lose games. They will probably have a losing streak. They'll probably have a significant injury because that's the way the NFL works. But they're in about as good a shape as you could be in right now. Last night, the Lions showed that you can gain yards on them. You can move the ball on them, but they are a really good offensive team. Two excellent backs, multiple quality receivers. Jameson Williams really gives them a deep threat that complements, St. Brown and their underneath receivers. Goff had a great game, basically the first perfect game ever pitched by an NFL quarterback throwing that many passes. He even caught a touchdown pass. So, and what I like about it is those are both such fun teams to watch. Geno slings it around. He's got very good receivers, and Kenneth Walker had a great game last night. Neither coach is afraid of going for it on fourth down. That was a really entertaining game. The other game, Dolphins just aren't really much of a team without a quarterback. And so the Titans, who aren't very good, beat them.
So you bring up Geno Smith. When you were talking about him, it made me think of Baker Mayfield as well. Those are two guys that they look like they're going to be starters. They're going to be stars in this league. And then they were only going to be backups, and then they got opportunities to start again, and now both look like they're playing awfully well. Does it take some guys a little bit longer to really kind of find, their abilities or maybe the type of system that works best for them?
Yeah, all the above. Sometimes they're poorly coached or they come into a terrible situation and aren't really given much of a chance. Sometimes they do need to mature. Baker Mayfield had moments early in his career with the Browns where he said, this guy's really good, but he also made some terrible decisions. I remember watching him a couple times live, and there were just people wide open, and he wouldn't even look at him. He'd just throw the ball to the wrong people. It's really hard to look at that and say, oh, he'll figure it out under the right coaches. But in his case, he has. He's playing phenomenally well. Geno Smith, same thing, put in bad situations, and now that he's in a good situation, he's more mature. He's accurate. He's a leader. It can happen. In my personal experience, I remember, seeing Rich Gannon as he's like a 4th round draft pick, and the Vikings kind of liked him, but they didn't know if he's a franchise quarterback. He gets his one-shot start here in 1992 in Denny's first year, and he actually didn't play like a superstar, but he played like a good game manager. They got off to a really good start. He had some sore ribs. They rested him. They ended up sticking with Sean Salisbury because he was buddies with Jack Del Rio, and then he didn't want to divide the locker room. And, then Salisbury loses the playoff game. Gannon leaves. And 6 years later, he's like the AFC Player of the Year or something. So sports are really hard to predict. I guess the theme here is you better, if you're going to make it as an NFL quarterback, you better be ready when the right opportunity arises for you. And that might not be with your first team.
Jim, the baseball playoffs start today, and they will not include the Twins, who finished 4th in the division. 3 teams from the American League Central are in the playoffs, with 2 of them starting play today. Your thoughts on the Twins season and the vote of confidence that both Rocco and Derek Falvey received?
Well, I don't think... The problem with baseball is they play so many games. If you want to blame a manager or a general manager, you always can't. There's always evidence. The general manager has to make dozens of moves. The manager makes dozens of moves a day. So you can always find something you disagree with and complain about it. I don't think that Falvey and Baldelli are the reason this team failed. I think that combination of injuries, young players not being able to handle the grind and the pressure of this situation, and in this case, the cut payroll didn't help. So I just think it would have been wrong for Joe Pohlad to cut the payroll by that much and then blame the people who had to deal with it. I think highly of Falvey and Baldelli. They're not perfect. Nobody is. But I think they're intelligent people who know how to run an organization. And they're going to get another shot here. I'm sure if the next year is bad, that will be it for them. But I'm glad they're getting another chance. I still think this team is very promising in a lot of ways. I really think they need, I'm going to write this later in the week, I really think what they're missing, everybody talks about, so many people just, to me, leap to the easy conclusions, which is, you needed to go replace Sonny Gray with a really expensive pitcher. And I even said in the offseason, hey, you should go get Jordan Montgomery. Or Jordan Montgomery ended up signing for, $35 million, and he had a terrible year. So it's just not that easy. I think what they really miss is a true Nelson Cruz type in the middle of the lineup who's going to be healthy, durable, hit in the clutch, produce runs in a reliable way, and let everybody else kind of fall to their roles. Everybody hoped that Royce Lewis would be that guy. He wasn't ready for it. Correa was hurt too much. Buxton was hurt too much. Miranda had one great month, but it wasn't great otherwise. Santana's a little bit is past his prime. To me, they need that glue guy in the middle of the lineup. And that guy might cost $5 million. He might cost $30 million. I don't know. That's where I want to see him spend the money.
Any idea who that guy would be?
Nelson Cruz with all new body parts. I don't know who that guy is, but that is the guy they should be looking for.
I mean, Nelson Cruz, not only did he give you that threat in the middle of the lineup, the experience, but also just a good guy and seemed like he was a great mentor to a lot of the players on that team.
Yes. And listen, I think Correa is that guy in a lot of ways, but Correa isn't the pure off, Correa is their leader, and he handles the role very well in a lot of ways. With Nelson, it was a combination of being a leader, but also being a pure hitter. Correa is a great shortstop who can hit. Cruz was a great hitter. He could talk about the science of hitting, the approach, the mentality. Correa is a very good hitter, but he's not what Nelson Cruz was in his prime. Offensively, he's obviously he's a great defensive player.
Jim, so as far as moves you think that the Twins would make in the offseason, and how much does it depend on their financial situation, which at least the last couple of years has been linked to their TV deal?
Yeah, we just don't know what's going to happen there yet. Obviously, they want a better financial deal out of their TV partner. I don't know if this is the year they get it. Of course, this is the year they want to get it. Are they actually going to get it? I just don't know what that landscape's going to look like. I don't know how it's going to play out. And I also don't know, when I talked to Twins people about this, what they said was, the fan base thought that because we spent a lot of money in 2023, that was the new standard. It was really a one-year exception because you signed Correa. You had a big bill with Correa. You signed Pablo Lopez long-term, and they took a flyer on Joey Gallo, and they wanted to, so they didn't view that as the new standard. They thought that was an aberration, and Twins fans thought that should be the new standard. I'm not saying Twins fans are wrong. I'm saying that's where the Pohlads are coming from, is they thought they were doing a good thing by raising the payroll for 1 year, and everybody got mad at them because it wasn't the new standard for payrolls. So I don't know what the payroll is going to be next year. They basically promised off the record they're not going to cut it anymore. I don't know if they'll add to it, or if they add to it, how much more they'll add to it.
Jim, let's switch attention a little bit. The Minnesota Lynx are going to play tonight, Game 2. They take on Connecticut at home. They lost Game 1. Pretty important to win Game number 2 at home?
Oh, God, yeah. I actually thought, some sports Game 1 is really important. Other sports it's not as important. Hockey, teams come back all the time. But listen, the statistics are very simple. If you win the first game of a short series, you're in great shape. So Lynx need to win this one just to have a chance, I think. And Connecticut, hey, the Lynx played a very talented Phoenix team in the first round. They scored 100 points each game. Now Connecticut comes to town and they score 70. Connecticut is an excellent defensive team. They are very physical. They're very tough-minded, and they have people who will hit big shots as well. And Mabry stepping forward as a three-point threat really loosens things up for that team offensively. And Alyssa Thomas will make big shots. So this is probably the worst matchup the Lynx could have had. But to win a championship, you got to win all the matchups, so no matter who it is. So we'll see what they have. I think they just need to play much better offensively, especially in the fourth quarter. We'll see if they have that in them.
Jim, the dust is settling on the Timberwolves trade with the New York Knicks. Who's better? Who's best equipped now to win an NBA title, the Wolves or the Knicks, after this deal?
I would say the Wolves is, they both have a great player they're building around, Brunson and Edwards. Edwards can do more things on the court than Brunson can, even though Brunson's spectacular. And the Knicks gave up some depth here. DiVincenzo, I think Randall can be about as productive as Towns. And DiVincenzo gives them more shooting and better depth. They have a very deep roster this year. So I because of depth, I would pick, I would say the Wolves are better prepared right now. Also, Edwards is still getting better.
Jim, the baseball playoff starting today. Who do you like? Who do you think has got momentum? I'm not asking necessarily to make a prediction, but who do you think is playing well right now? Who's going to be dangerous in the playoffs?
There's no such thing as momentum, so I will say that my heart says Orioles Brewers. I just like those franchises, mid-markets that have put together winning teams that are a lot of fun to watch, and World Series mean a lot to those areas. My head says this might be an old school Yankee-Dodgers series.
All right, Jim, what do you got in your podcast?
Let's see. This morning we're going to do the John Krasinski show on all the Wolves moves. We'll do a Viking update show on the Riding High Vikings. So get those out. We'll also have Chris Hockey from Vikings coverage and music fame in studio today for the Don Mitchell show. We'll get all those out in the next 24 hours or so. And you can also find Mike Grimm on the Gophers, Randy Shaver on high school football, and Don's long list of great interviews at talknorth.com.
All right, Jim, thank you. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Jay.
It's Jim Souhan, Star Tribune sports columnist, joining us every weekday morning at this time. Follow him on Twitter at SouhanStrib. Check out his latest column in the Star Tribune or his podcast at talknorth.com. Jim, once again today, brought to you by the Green Mill in downtown St. Cloud. For 5 years now, they've been making the best bread and pastries in their location near the skating place. Now it's time to celebrate. Join Kelly Cords as she broadcasts live this Saturday from 7 to 10 in the morning at Backwards Bread Company. Free goodie bags for the first 100 customers, free butter croissants and cider for everyone, prize drawings, and more. This Saturday, Backwards Bread Company. Go and see Kelly there from 7 to 10 on Saturday morning. Next on WJON, World and National News from ABC. That's brought to you by Executive Express.